Hold on. So here, hold this camera. Tell people what we just discovered.
Oh.
That means there's sound.
So, as an ode to the silent films of the Chaplin era, we decided tonight that we were going to do our first 13 minutes with no sound. So, what we're going to do is, now this is a test. We are going to take you through a much quicker version if any of you are still even watching.
Oh yeah, there's people watching.
Thank you to whoever brought up the fact that we don't have any sound.
Yeah, it was several people. And yeah, there's this little speaker button here that when I pushed it before, it made that sound, and I thought, oh, it's feeding back. This has to be muted for it to work.
Because you thought it was feedback.
Yeah, well, it was feedback, but what I didn't realize, I had to just turn my phone down. So total user error. And it, you know, I would just like to say to your viewers, oh, by the way, it says chapter in chat, Franklin Barbershop. Man, I gotta get my act together, Steve. But I would, before you start, I just want to say that the first take on this was just magic, and it'll only be you and I that ever know that. But I got to get in here and figure out why.
So are you? You're recording now.
Yep.
And going back to change the chapter and the chat intro, correct?
Yep.
Great. And what's funny is that the poem that popped up right in my face when we started this whole melee, I can't find, but I'm gonna. And then we're gonna give y'all the fast forward version of what took place. Oh, I found it. So the audio at the start was me joking that this is a really great book and that y'all should read it, and that we would give away some free copies of it tonight, and that this Stephen Cannon character, whoever he is, wherever he may be, wouldn't care much. And so I figured it would just be a very jovial, joking tone for the evening. And I opened it up to page 84, and I'm going to share with you what I read then, which is a poem that I thought I probably just pilfered to add to the chapter, and that someone famous probably had written it, but I realized pretty quickly that wasn't the case. The poem is called The Song Birds of Beauty. We hear the birds sing and often wonder why. Then all at once darkness fills their sky. But now the birds sing louder than they ever did before. Hearts are broken, strength is tested, pain is at the door. For the enemy is faceless, mindless, and does not play fair. With it comes worry, wonder, fear, and despair. Memories flood back to our rights and our wrongs. We loved the soundtrack, we wrote all the songs. We have many encores, rhymes, notes, and more words to sing in the future to the delight of the birds. So here's to our next song, play it loud, play it clear. Though this ballad starts slowly, the lyrics are so dear. It's about a hero and a guarantee for better days. The song is beautiful. It's called Jamie DeHaze. And so, funny how things work, but Jamie DeHaze died just before I started my run around Lake Michigan, and she was the sister to Jenna DeHaze, who was to run with us and couldn't because Jamie passed because of cancer. I am getting to the pictures, although we showed you this before. Does that show it, Jason?
Yep. Yep.
That is Jamie DeHaze, and what we were talking about, what really the whole reason for Elephant Tamers, for the books, for my upcoming trip to Alaska is people like Jamie, their sisters, the people they leave behind, even my sister who is recovered from breast cancer. What they teach us is that no life, no month or day or moment is a given, and to live our lives to the fullest, so that if for some twist of fate it gets cut shorter than we're planning, we still can check out with a smile on our face. And I've learned that lesson from the people that have went through that, like Jamie, and it's in no small part the reason I'm going to Alaska. Is a long time ago, in meeting these people, I decided I would live life on my own terms and do it the way my heart leads me to do it, even though I'd be lying if I say that the Iditarod Trail Invitational and moving to Alaska don't scare the hell out of me, because they do. But I also think any worthy challenge should scare the pants off of us. So with that and our newfound volume in our broadcast, we will move on to the part we were headed to when we figured out we lost our volume, which is we're going to show you this yard sale.
Steve, that was every bit as cool. It just didn't have the surprise beginning. And so I think you nailed it all.
Thank you very much. So this is it. All of this will get sort of organized and thrown into the back. Not the 47 coolers, those are staying. A couple extra tires, racing tires, Sorel boots, things of that nature. So what I thought would be cool is that I'll walk you through a couple of these things because it's gear and it's fun and that sort of stuff. But if you have any questions about Alaska or anything, we also, I don't know if this is repeating myself, but we've started an Elephant Tamers page, and that's going to be where this show lives and so much else lives. Clips from this journey, which will take me maybe 10 to 12 days to get all the way out to Alaska, go to Denver to visit some friends, and then take a right turn to Fairbanks, and that's still over 2,000 miles. So if y'all have places between Denver and Fairbanks, Alaska that you think I should not miss, then type them in here, because I got no plans. I'm gonna wake up in the morning and go where the wind blows or where you send me. And for any of you that want to go on this journey, go to the Elephant Tamers, like the page, go to Expand Your Possible on YouTube or Twitter or Instagram. It'll all be there. I'd love to have y'all with me. I can't wait for the first night that I'm sitting on the front deck underneath the northern lights with the live feed going on and bringing it all to you and everything else that comes with that, which will be a lot of cold weather, a lot of exciting, probably tired, suffering moments, and everything in between. But these are just some different things that, you know, if you have any questions about, well, I'll be sharing all of this stuff as I learn it. This is called a polk. It's a big sled. I'll use it to go get groceries. I'll be 4 miles outside of Fairbanks, so I'll pull that behind my bike, or I'll hike in with my snowshoes and get a week or two's worth of food and take it back to the cabin. The cabin has limited running water, so outhouse out back. That'll be interesting at 40 below zero. Probably eliminate the need for coffee. If I repeated that joke, then I apologize. I don't think we had volume when I said it before. This is part of my sleep system. It's a roofing insulation that I've turned into a sleeping pad. Couple different sleeping bags for sleep systems. I just got, oh, that's right, this package today. I haven't even opened it yet, but there's some cool stuff in here. If y'all were watching, I went tarp camping, or actually I did go tarp camping. I'm getting so excited, I gotta slow down, breathe. I went up to International Falls to learn great ways to camp in the cold. And so one of those things is tarp camping instead of tent camping. And that video is on my Facebook page too, so I'll be sharing that. But I just got this from Cook Custom Sewing, and it's a 1.1 ounce 10 foot by 12 foot tarp with some reflective cords. So instead of carrying a tent and all that ways, tarp camping is super cool. Check it out. I'll be posting videos. You can't use stakes in the snow, so these are called, I think they're called Dead Man's something or other. And anyway, you fill these bags with snow and they become your stakes. You put them in the snow and the snow freezes around them, and stuff that I'm just learning. Like, I've never used them, I just got them, but I know the theory behind it because my man Mike Headkey up in International Falls, he showed me the way. Coffee.
Hey Steve, your friend Joanne,
Joe Toe?
she wants to know if you know anything about grizzly bears.
I know that they're sleeping. I think that's all I need to know.
Is that right?
Yeah, they should be hibernating by now.
Okay.
Which is funny because I had the same concerns about bears, and the person I asked in Alaska about that was kind enough to just point out to me that they were sleeping, although I'm sure there were subtitles with that saying, maybe you're not quite ready to come to the north if you don't know that bears hibernate, but he was kind enough not to say that. It's also important to take a good book with you. I'm taking quite a few. The first on my list will be The Niche by Satyrus Jeering, who is a good friend of Ian Miller, who granted us an interview a couple weeks ago. I have read the first page or two. Amazing. Amazing. I don't yet have the power of Oprah's book club, so maybe that endorsement only means 2 people instead of 2 million people buy it, but you should check this book out. It's going to be a classic, and I don't say that just because I like Ian Miller, but I do like Ian Miller. Sleeping bags, cool things like Yeti coolers that I've made my own insulation devices for that will go on the front of the bike. But these things, man, will warm your soul from the inside out. I have put hot chicken noodle soup in this thing just as it is in 20 degree below zero weather at 8 o'clock at night, and at 8 o'clock in the morning open this thing up and burnt my mouth because I just didn't think there was any way the first time I tested it that it could be like almost hotter than when I put it in 12 hours before with those kind of elements. So anyway, you know, you're not all interested in going on a walk down cold memory lane, but these are just some cool things. Stormproof matches. You can actually, I could put this like whole thing, all these matches in a glass of water for a half hour, pull them out, they would still strike. So there's just all of this stuff that's going to go into outfitting me for what, at least up to this point, will be the biggest adventure of my life. And it's really, really exciting. So in all of these interviews that we do, Jason and I talked about this earlier today, sometimes we get so caught up in the fun of it, I don't do a very good job in really bringing home the point, which is one thing all of these people we interview, or a group of people we interview, as in last week at the barbershop, that they all have in common is that they've had a dream, they've recognized that dream, and they've gone after it. And in all of the fun banter back and forth, there's clues and there's similarities in all of their stories that I hope, again, although I don't take maybe enough time to point that out, that everybody listening picks up on. In Satyrus Jeering's book, and Ian Miller, when we interviewed, he talked about the itch, and it being that thing, that voice that talks to all of us that says, when are you going to take that trip? When are you going to start that business? When are you going to run that 5K? When are you going to start to walk your kids to school once every week like you said you were going to? When are you? And that voice never stops unless you take action to bring it to life. And when you do, then you start bringing more dreams or more itches to life. And this all started, all of this is because I got off my ass and ran a 5K in Manitou Springs, Colorado when I was 28 years old. Everything here is because of that. And that's the power of scratching that itch, following that voice, and then just embarking on a whole life of taking down dreams. And I can only imagine the doors that going to Alaska are going to open. And that's pretty freaking cool. So that's all I got. We could go on for gear and talk for a long time, but if y'all want to talk about anything, questions you have about Alaska, if you know anybody that you think would like to be a part of this trip to Alaska, or these interviews that are going to continue every Tuesday night, I just don't know who they're going to be. Next Tuesday, I'll be somewhere between here and Alaska, and it might just be in a random coffee shop 700 miles from here that I find some cool man or woman, and I'm just going to ask them if they want to share their story and what they're all about. And that's going to continue, and Jason will continue to bring cool people to the table, and we're just going to keep this thing rolling. If there's somebody super cool that you think we should have on the show, suggest it, share with them our page, our show, and be like, hey, would you like to be on Steve and Jason's show? Because I can already tell you the answer will be yes, because it's what we're really trying to do here is just show people from every walk of life. I'd love to find the happiest garbage man in the United States, because his story would be the same as the guy that's conducting the New York Philharmonic. There would be similarities in their story, and that they're doing what it is that brings them joy. And so we want the show to be your show, and all of that back and forth. So,
all right, we have a couple questions.
Let's do it.
Someone wants to know why you have all these Gatorade things here.
Haha.
And they also said, is Gatorade your sponsor? Which I think is an excellent idea.
Sort of, yes. Gatorade sponsors the race we put on called the Boonville Backroads, which is a 5K, 50K, 100K, 100-mile race we put on in May. And when I got done cleaning all of them, I thought I'd just leave them in a pyramid. So that's why they have stayed there. And if you're about town and you ever need coolers or anything for your event, then just ask me. I'd be happy to lend them to you and the juice that comes along. So that's the answer to the pyramid of Gatorade.
And also potentially a good sponsor for the Elephant Tamers.
I think they would be a great sponsor for the Elephant
Especially
Tamers.
considering all the exposure they're getting right now. Another question is, why are you going to Alaska? So you've talked about a cabin, and you've talked about an adventure. Have you talked about this?
So that bike is why. And it's funny because almost this exact same time, I think 4 years ago, I was going to say 3, but time goes so fast. I used to make fun of these bikes and the people that rode them because I was like, those things are just a fad. They're just silly. Who would, whatever.
Those
blah,
things
blah, blah.
being
the fat bikes.
Fat bikes.
Yeah. And maybe someday I'll rent one and I'll go for a ride around Sailorville Lake with my friend Squirrel and some of these other guys that go to Runnels and yeah. And it snowed on a November day, and I grabbed one from Rasmussen Bike Shop, and I was the first one on the coming trail. And I think probably 2 miles down that trail on a couple 2 inches of new snow, literally, I just fell in love. It was, and I've laughed at myself ever since that day because I used to poo-poo this thing, and now it's really, other than that little bike, that yellow bike that sits on a trainer, it's the only bike I own. I gravel race in it, I do everything. And so that led to me doing the Arrowhead 135 and the Tuscobia 150 and the Active Epica, which is a race in Canada, which then led to me being accepted as a rookie into this year's Iditarod Trail Invitational, which is a 350-mile short race in Alaska that is all self-supported on the famed Iditarod Trail. And if you're able to complete it, then you can actually petition to take on the full 1,000-mile race, which I think I want to do, but Alaska deserves a lot of respect. And so to say that you're going to do something like that before you've even done the 350 is foolhardy. But the reason I'm going to Alaska is it's so far away that I thought it's not going to cost much more to go there, stay, really experience it, versus going up there 5 days before the race, turning around and coming back home. And also just the adventure and the unknown of it all. I'm most excited about the shit that I have no idea what's coming.
I would like to hear more about the bike and more about the trip, but let's keep or the race. So let's keep talking about the race for a second, if you wouldn't mind me being an interviewer for a moment.
It's our show.
So you say it's self-supported, 350 miles. Is it something like, do you already know, do you ride for X amount of hours per day and then set up camp and then cook your own food? Or are there like checkpoints? Or do you just ride for 350 miles straight and hope to survive? Or I don't even know how that works.
Yeah. And to my understanding so far, and other people probably would have investigated this more than I have up to
Well, you
this
have time.
point. I have a little time. But there are abandoned schoolhouses or those type of structures along the route, a few of them that I believe you can send like drop bags and food. So if you get from mile 0 to mile 127, for example, then you could resupply. And so there will be some planning to that effect. But if Alaska decides to rear her beautiful head and dump 1.5 feet of fresh snow, you could be pushing your bike for 20 hours and make it 35 miles. And at that point, that beautiful new tarp and those snow anchors that will set up said tarp and the sleep system that I'm learning to use and the ability to keep yourself comfortable, warm, and well fed in, I mean, last year there was a couple nights it got to -60 real temperature, not the wind chill. So there's the possibility you do have to take care of yourself in between those checkpoints. If it's really cold and really fast and no snow, then it really boils down to how tough you are and how well you can not handle sleep, because at 8 miles an hour, if I can stay on the pedals for, which I don't know that I can, but if you could stay on the pedals for 40 hours straight, then in theory, other than stopping at those places to get more food or add more water to your system, you could go, straight through. I think it's probably a 3 or 4 day journey. I'll know more about that once I get up there and start to put some of those shorter 100, 150 mile jaunts in and get a real feel for it.
And the closest thing you've done to this so far is the Canadian thing?
The Canadian race was...
Is this picture from that?
No, that picture is from last year's Arrowhead 135.
Well, I just want to show people what a loaded down Icy Beard
I think
fat bike looks
maybe
like.
that helps.
Yeah.
So that's the full rig. That's a bedroll on the front. Those are water bottles with beer koozies on the bottom of them that are duct taped that go upside down into insulated holders. That was the first part of that race, it was nice and cold and the trail was packed. We were hauling. So super fun. And I would say that race and Tuscobia, both of those, the year before I broke a pedal there and I had to push my bike up basically every hill for the last 80 miles. So that was about 25 hours. And so, but again, man, that's not even a half of what we're talking about doing. And you never, I shouldn't say never, on a bike it's very seldom, unless you're planning on wanting to sleep out to test your gear and stuff like that. The Arrowhead on a bike is pretty much always a go without sleep and or without camping and having to stop. I don't think there's any way I probably get through Iditarod without having to sleep outside. And the other neat thing about being able to be comfortable when it's 30 or 40 below is, these checkpoints, there might be 15 other really tired bikers, skiers, or walkers in there snoring their ass off. And so being able to stay outside also has benefits because you'll actually sleep versus all of that roaring inside. So it's another reason why I go to Alaska, is to get comfortable in those situations where no matter what the weather is, I can get hunkered down, have my tarp set up, have my sleeping system set up. I can be inside that thing in 3 or 4 minutes, water boiled, soup made, sipping tea, the whole world howling around me, and I'm snug as a bug in a rug. And so that's, I can start working on those systems from the porch of my cabin to where if I screw up, I can go right inside and put a log on the fire until I get it right.
Let's hear more about the bike. So this is so you fell in love with fat biking, got yourself a fat bike. Now it's pretty much all you ride, unless you're on your trainer.
Which nobody digs that very much. So that's a Specialized Fat Boy. It's a carbon bike. It's got tubeless tires on it. The bags are custom bags. Not that I'm anything special getting custom bags, but Bike Bag Dude, that's all they do. They make custom bags. So if you, for your bike, they'd be like, send me a cardboard cutout of your open space and I'm going to make a bag. You tell us the colors, how you want it to match your bike. They do all of that. They are the best. And you don't take my word for any of this. Just go see the comments on Bike Bag Dude. The stuff here is from my good friend Joe Stiller, and that's called a Bar Yak, and that may be the second one that he ever made, but also worth their weight in gold because you can hang stuff off of it, like extra water bottle holders. You can
Do
put
you-
your GPS on
Do you
it.
ride with your hands up
You
here?
can actually kind of lay on here to get a different position for a little bit. And the other cool thing, which as you saw in the picture, is this allows you to put your bedroll a little further out, and it doesn't mess up your cables by scrunching them if you're trying to put it all onto there. So it works out really cool. The only other thing that's not on here is these anything cages that Salsa makes, and so these go on the forks, and then these go in here, and now between one of these usually will carry like some hot chicken noodle soup, and the other one will carry backup hot water. You can drink cold water, but why? And also hot water, boiling hot water, put in these upside down with said duct tape koozie. That water, even in 20 below temperature, will probably last, I don't know, 6 hours until it starts to get slushy. These are just all the things that you learn, and I'm sure when I get out here, there's going to be some Jedis out in the Alaska world.
Bar mitts.
Yeah, by 45 North, those are called Cobra Fists, and they're not made to be floppy like that. They've got a little thing that go in there, but I've got hand grips in there that I like, being able to use different positions. So this gives me a little bit more room, but again, make your system your own.
Do these tires have studs in them?
They don't. It's just gravel that's in the areas where the studs could be if you wanted studded tires.
No, is this a whole nother set?
It is. That's a racing set. So these are head wheels, and these have a bit of a cool backstory to them. I just have to find it.
So those aren't tubeless.
They are.
They are?
Yes, they are. And I hope it didn't go away in all the time that I've been riding them. Maybe it did. But for any of you that are familiar with the fat tire endurance biking world, you know a guy named Jay Petterberry, and these are his wheels. And somewhere on there, he signed them. And it may have wore off, but anyway, it's another reason not to ever give up on the trail, because I'm certain those wheels have never DNF'd a race knowing Jay. So
No pressure.
I'll try not to let you down, Jay. So that's the bike. That's the gear.
So you still have to pack all this stuff tonight?
Tonight, tomorrow morning, there's 1, 2, 3 tubs, and there's one more in the other room, and so I don't think it'll take more than about an hour, and we'll be down the road.
And you have how far are you going to try to get tomorrow? Do you have a timeline, or are you just going to go where the wind takes you as long as it's that direction?
Yeah,
That
to
sounds
Denver. And I probably won't go all the way to Denver. 10 hours of driving at one time just sucks.
Mm-hmm.
So end up somewhere in Nebraska, which is no real treat. But
No offense to Nebraska.
no. I just meant strictly from a distance-driven standpoint. Nebraska's a wonderfully adventuresome state to drive across.
All right. Let me go check here. You say something insightful to the people, and I'll see if anybody's asking any questions. I wish I could be 2 places at once.
You are 2 places at once. So this is what Jason does when he's not asking the questions. He goes on here and freaks people out by answering stuff as me, or sometimes he says, nope, this is Jason. So I'm not so sure he doesn't just like bouncing around and trying to confuse the hell out of everybody. He's good that way. So we always ask, and we'll ask again for anybody that's still tuned in, hit the share button. It helps us grow our audience, and you can help us grow the show and be a part of the show, and all of that good stuff. So if you like what we're doing and want to continue to see it happen, then it's great if you just take your little cursor thing and take it up to the share button and just go blink. And I actually think that's the sound that it does make, right?
I think so.
When you put, would somebody please just hit share right now and tell me if it goes blink?
Alan Johnson wants to know if you made a checklist of all the stuff you need to bring.
Oh, Alan, come on, man. All of that preparation, that sounds like brain damage. No, I do have a list of notes on my phone of the things that I must do before I leave. Is that camera in the right place? Is it?
Yeah, up a little higher, but it's really close, just a tiny bit.
As in, bring it up a little higher.
Just tilt it. There you go.
Like that?
Yeah.
Have we given away any free books yet?
No. How do we do that?
If you go to the expandyourpossible.com website, then there will be a link. I mean, you'll be able to just click on free ebook and then copy and paste that link into the feed.
Okay.
And that works cool. So if you've read the book, that's great. But if you do download the free ebook, it automatically puts you on our mailing list because we have to email you the ebook. So even if you've read it, it would be if you liked it, and if you didn't like it, then I don't know why in the heck you would want to download the e-version because it won't be any better. But if you did, then you can that puts you in position to get Upside Down in the Yukon River, and we'll be sending out emails when that is ready to go. And I don't think there's a cool thing. Can I let the whole subscription thing, the whole idea that we're kind of toying with, out of the bag?
Sure.
So we're having this great discourse with Jason Fulbrook from Switchboard, which is how we're able to simulcast this onto like 4 or 5 different Facebook platforms and my YouTube page all at the same time. And what we are working towards is a platform on the Expand Your Possible webpage where if you like what we are doing, you can support us monetarily through a yearly subscription. And we don't know what that's going to be, 20, 30. A guy we're watching and studying right now does a $40 a year. But as part of that subscription, in theory, you would get this show every single episode. You would get every book I write. You would get access to informational courses on cold weather biking or making hard-boiled eggs. I don't know that would really be worth the $40, but a nice little benefit. So that's where I think we're headed, and so just a neat little thing to keep in the back of your mind that we're really excited about. It's our hope that this Elephant Tamers thing really continues to grow. It's amazing. I think last week's show with the Franklin Barbershop guys, we got 3,000 views, which that seems like a lot to me for just a couple goofballs like Jason and I trying to bring interesting people to your living room. So, but there's some really groovy, cool people outside of Des Moines, New Zealand, different places like that where we'd love to go interview and share their story and bring all of that content. And so this subscription thing would be a way that you could be a part of that and supporting that. So you probably will sometime early in the year hear more about that.
Angie Conley wants to know, at what point do the Cubs slippers become important in your packing? Let me tell you the exact question so it's not phrased wrong. I just have to find it again. She said, at what point do the Cub Slippers become crucial?
I am making it my personal mission to be able to report back to all you Cub fans. And those of you who aren't Cub fans, it's only a matter of time until you become Cub fans. So we're all one big family here. I will be reporting sometime in the very near future live from my porch in Fairbanks with a report on how well these work at, say, 20 below. I have great hopes for the Cub Slippers because all things Cubs are, let's face it, just a little bit better than other things. So, wonderful question, Angie. And give my nephew Benjamin a big, giant hug from his uncle, Giant Fluffy Beard. Please. Anything else? Because if not, we're going to have a couple questions with you.
Oh, I think that's it. I think everybody that was tuned into my page is gone now, but
That's okay because they're already fans of yours. But people on my page don't know you that well, even if they did see one of our first interviews together. So he's going to come snuggle up next to me so we can just have the camera right here, and we're going to take about 6 minutes and 27 seconds of your time. Jason Wall-Smith, part 2 from the Nadas, as well as a solo rock star as well. Is that a fair
I don't use the
introduction?
term rock star very much, but
Music star?
I do play solo music quite a bit. Yeah,
You just got back from a show in Colorado. Tell us about that.
a couple shows in Colorado. We played a.
Do you think you're too close?
I don't think so.
No? All right. Because I don't know what that looks like over there. You keep talking.
Okay.
You just played a couple shows?
Well, it was Mike and I, so we call that the Nadas, but we call it duo acoustic. It's a lot easier for us to get around, just the two of us. So sometimes we make the band stay behind and just, do a one-off show here or there. So we went out to Denver and played a place called Tennyson's Tap. Our friend Will James, who we know from the band The Samples, plays there every Sunday, and he said we would like the place. So we set up a show and went out there. And the real reason we went out there was for a surprise birthday party for someone. And so it worked. She was on to us, I guess, because she was like, why would they come out for just one show? So I posted, the next day I posted that I'd landed at the Des Moines airport, and then I checked in at a brewery and said I was drinking a Iowa beer, but the Colorado beer was good, but it was nice to have an Iowa beer. Apparently she saw that and then
Threw her off the scent.
Totally threw her off the trail, and then the whole thing was a big surprise. So
I love bragging on Jason. He has brought so much to the show. He does photography and all other stuff, but right now I just want to talk about the music stuff. So if you're watching and you have not checked out the Nadas, you should, because they're freaking awesome. And it's thenadas.com. Yes?
that is right.
And on Facebook, it's also the Nadas.
Facebook's probably a little even more interesting than our website these days. We haven't updated it too much.
And you're all on Facebook right now, so go to the Nadas and check it out. Even if that means like leaving this, because I've been talking for a long time anyway, so that's really more important. But before you go, you have a new album that is done and ready to like eventually come out. What's the schedule of that, and when, kind of, and how can they all know about it and be in the loop?
Well, we sent the files to mastering today, so it's being mastered, which means no more changes, no more edits, no more.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, the sequence is done, the titles are firm, everything's.
Congrats, dude.
Thanks. Yeah, so
That's
we
freaking
sent it to
great.
mastering today, probably in about 5 to 7 to 10 days, depending.
Is that like passing a kidney stone? I mean, is it that kind of
No.
relief, or is it more like the birth of a child, happy joy?
This one has
it's
been
off and ready to go.
very exciting and very stress-free, and just a pleasure to work on the whole time. A friend of ours named Alex Deason from the band The Damwells produced it for us, so we're fans of his. We asked him if he'd come make a record with us, and it was awesome. A guy named Jim Valentine from Texas was the engineer who tracked everything with us and then mixed it. And we sent it off to DES Mastering. A guy named George in Dallas, Texas is mastering it right now. So that means just taking all the stuff we did and just kind of making sure that it's as loud as it should be, and the bass is where it should be, and the trebles are where they should be, and then he sweetens it a little bit. And he also, this guy is old school enough that he's mastered a lot for vinyl, and he, you know, everybody kind of gets their music one file at a time out of the air now, but he still masters in a way that there's different space between the songs, and some songs the air sort of overlaps, and he creates this whole album experience. And that's probably not the way that 99% of the people are going to listen to the record, but we are going to make it available that way. So,
and how do they stay in the loop so when that bad boy is like ready?
So here's the plan that I'm developing in my mind as I'm telling it to you, but I think this is the plan. We're, as soon as we get back from mastering, which will be in a week, we will announce a pre-sale to our fans. So on our website, on our email, on our Facebook page, we're going to make it available to our fans for pre-sale, which means they'll be able to download it as soon as it's sort of a final product. So we'll pre-sell it for a little bit. They'll get a download. As soon as we get the CD back, which will be early December, we'll ship out the CD, and there'll be like an early pre-sale so they can buy it before the rest of the world gets it, just in time for Christmas and stocking
So if they
stuffers.
go to the Nadas, NADAS, on Facebook and hit thumb up, they give it a like, then they're in. They'll be in the know.
Which, by the way, we're only about 40 people away from having 17,000 followers on our Facebook page. So I've been on a little campaign lately to get over that hump. What happens at 17,000? I don't know. Probably nothing. But it's a good goal.
We could at least like put a picture of 17,000 balloons or something.
Yes. Yep. So yeah,
Get us to 17,000 and get yourself a steal of a deal on the Nadas album when it drops.
So yeah, we're gonna
That's
do a couple
super cool.
special issues. We'll probably do an autographed one. We might do one that comes with, you know, a note or something. Just a couple premiums, because there's a lot of people out there who support us, who want to go the extra mile, that helps us, you know, go down the road. So that pre-sale will be available, and then we'll have a CD release party at Woolies on January 26th, so early next year.
Market.
And then right after that, the week after that, it will be available to the world on iTunes and Spotify and Pandora and all those things. So, but there's going to be a good couple months where, unless you're a fan that follows us directly and is plugged into what we do, you won't hear it, which is kind of unique. Normally,
I love that.
Normally, it's out there on iTunes first, and
that.
then everybody tries to catch up. So,
I want to do. I'm hoping to do the same thing with Upside Down the Yukon River, like the people supporting. Let them eat at the buffet line first, kind of thing, and you know, that's super cool. So that's it, y'all. We're gonna send Jason back into the dungeon, and he's gonna put the nadas.com link up there, and so y'all can be in the know, because their music is off the charts. No pun intended. I wish I'd been quick enough to actually think of that before I dropped that pun, but I wasn't. The next time you hear from me, we'll be on the road, headed to Alaska, following a big dream that I have no idea where it's going to lead. But I hope y'all come with me, and at the same time share what you're doing to bring your itch to life. Thanks for being with us on another Tuesday night, supporting what we do, enjoying it, from Jason and me.
thank you.
Thank you. Dream big dreams. Good night. Now's that kind of weird time when I don't know if we're really off, so I'm always wondering, do I need to shut the camera off, or does it?
I don't know either.
Does it? You know, so it's gonna be like, it's gonna be our blooper reel.
No, it's not.
Is it?
Yeah, but remember there's that one switch where you just hit that switch and it all goes? I can't ever find that switch anymore.
Because like it's still showing volume and stuff on here, but
Yeah, but on here, it is done.
oh, that's so very pleasant.
All right.
Good on you, mate.
Thanks.
That was I think, like always, good, impromptu, informative, fun.
Yeah, I just need to. I don't know. I need to get my. I guess I need a little more time. You think I could just go on the fly and make it all go, but I guess I just need a little more time
Well,
to make sure all cylinders are firing properly and all that.
If we were ever going to botch a intro with no audio, it's great that we were doing it not with, you know, Senator John McCain in our first big interview. So it's just, you know, it's just another chapter in the learning.
And then somehow I got it so that my feed said the right thing, but yours still said Franklin Barber. So then I had to figure that out, and I still don't know what the difference is. But so there's going to be a long. Wonder what we should do to make sure that people know. I'm going to pin a little note to the top that said audio comes in and like I'll figure out where it comes in.
Yeah, that would be great. Because we always seem to get twice as many views after the show as we get
for the Elephant Miller, and I don't
as we get early on.
Mm-hmm.
The Chaplin era.
So yeah, that would be a wonderful pin. And did you put the Nada stuff up there yet?
Mm-hmm.
Right on. And were you able to find that free ebook link?
Mm-hmm.
Oh fuck! I'd say you fucking finished.
But because I wasn't logged in as you, it means I can't pin on your page. So what I got to figure out next time is, can I be logged in as you and as me?
Do I need to go there to pin something now?
Sure.
So here, hold this camera. Tell people what we just.
It says Steve Cannon was live. / the Elephant Tamers. Continue reading. You want me to just edit it right into the title?
Yeah, that'd be great.
What time?
10 minutes.
The 10-minute mark?
Mm-hmm. Forgot I have a song called Alaska.
Ooh.
Yep. That is Jamie DeHaze, and what we were talking about. That is Jamie DeHaze, and
Joanne Toman over already. She's a hyper commenter.
Oh yeah.